The Trader Cobb Crypto Show, talking business in blockchain.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Trader Cobb Crypto Show. I have got with me today a man who is very interesting. Not only is this guy handsome, good looking and rugged, but he's also the CEO of Swissborg. It's Cyrus Fazel. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you very much for making it really, really cool. We appreciate it.
Ladies, he is taken. I do apologize. He's a nice fellow, however. Now, look, I want to just cut straight to the chase. Let's just jump straight into it. I want to know a bit about your background, okay? So yep. I know where you're at, and I know what you've done, and we're going to cover both of those things. But what I'm really fascinated by is what brought you to where you are right now.
Yeah, I think so. That's a good thing. It's a very good question. Thanks for asking it. Originally I'm Iranian Swiss, and essentially my family after the revolution in Iran lost everything because, they all had all their wealth into centralized system, right? And from my end, what I always did is that I started working in wealth management. I thought always the markets was very interesting, then worked at hedge funds, and I was making wealthy people wealthier, wealthy institutions wealthier. And always trying to create, the best optimized portfolios. And I get to a point where I said, okay, why should I do that only for the few and the elites? And maybe let's try to do that for everyone. So wanted to create a robo-advisor. That was like in mid-2013 or so. And, I was like, okay, this is great. I'm going to create new portfolios for everyone who has a bank account in Europe. Then I realized it's too complicated. And then I was introduced to crypto. And I quickly understood that crypto is not only an investment class, it was as well a technology. And within the technology of Ethereum, you could actually create essentially, a fund for everyone. Like every smart contract could be a wallet, and every wallet could have different underlyings in it, and so everyone could have the ownership. So I was like, okay, great. This is fulfilling a mission of helping everyone. And at the same time is that if there's another revolution in the world, well, me personally, I could just, run off with my own wallet and no one could, steal my data. So I think so that was the two things that brought me to say, okay, let's try to do something, creating a new ecosystem of wealth management, but accessible to everyone. And that's what put me on into crypto, I think so.
And when did you get involved? You obviously got a very wonderful career in past. What was it, or when was it, I should say, that you decided that this was the bee's knees?
So I didn't get into crypto like most people, got in 2009 or 10 or 11. I was not that lucky guy. I heard about it like yourself, but I didn't really consider it. There's not much volume. I was really trading more for institutional. So I was like, okay, that's cool, but it's just maybe not my thing for right now. So the day that my dad, I was hoping to give him a present. He's based in Iran. And it was really hard, obviously, to ship. You don't DHL a present to there, right? And you don't buy something online. So the thing is, I asked my cousin, he's like, well, you could buy him a bottle of whiskey. I'm like, really? In Iran? He's like, yeah. I know an alcohol dealer that accepts Bitcoins. And I was like, oh, really cool. So I bought some Bitcoins and then I sent the Bitcoins to the alcohol dealer, and he offered a bottle of whiskey to my dad. And then I was like, okay, this is cool. And really, I think so the main jump in is in, late 2016, when my co-founder and myself, I really understand what was behind Ethereum. That was, for me, the changing point where, okay, it's not just a great way to essentially, do payments or store value through Bitcoin, but it's actually a way to build a technology behind it and have a smart contract that is, slightly smarter.
Well, look, you understand technology, and I mean, all viewers and listeners to this show know that I'm not that guy. I don't claim to be a Bitcoin or crypto or blockchain technologist. Not at all. I'm a guy that trades markets. I read charts and I understand business, and I invest in businesses that I think I understand. And I'd probably be seen as sort of a Warren Buffett type investor in our modern market. If I can see the way to revenue, then yeah, you'll get my investment as long as I think the idea is sound. So what was it that brought you into this space? I mean, you've built businesses. I mean, the business that you're building right now in Swissborg, what was it that made you really take that step to go, you know what? I get this, and I'm going to make some moves here.
Yeah, really, as I was saying, I was that we're creating this robo-advisor, and we're like, okay, now how can we offer this to the great public? Well, you have to work with a bank, right? And with a bank, then you have to create your portfolio management software. And with that, then you could create these customized portfolios. But you're still always relied on this old archaic infrastructure, which is with anything happens in any fintech, right? Even through PayPal, it looks cool in the front end, but the back end is, it's quite complicated. There's so many intermediaries. Whereas in crypto, you're like, well, the only intermediary you have it's actually wallet and exchange. So, for us, it was very easily, the jump was like, okay, let's do that. Essentially, we thought in 2016 that all assets going to go on the blockchain. There was already BitShares that did gold and other different commodities. So we said, okay, this is going to be great. We'll just have one smart contract per client. I mean, sorry to say, but who cares about the banks? And let's do it by our own self, right? Let's just go for any country in the world, and let's do it. So we did that, and we said, okay, now we need funding though to build all the tech. You can't only be 3 people and not in a garage, because we don't have a garage in Switzerland, but in our living room.
Yeah.
And I think so. That was late 2016, early 2017, where we like talked to so many VCs, and it's always the same thing. They're like, okay, if you want to go for your seed and family thing, it's fine, but you need more clients and traction, you need more technology. And then we started to look into ICOs, and that was like the turning point. We said, okay, if we're going through there, that's going to be a one way. We're going to build something for the community, for the community, by the community, and we're really going to try to change everything from that perspective. And that's what we did.
Look, I'm gonna go way off the script here. I'm gonna just flip this mad dog. When it comes to ICOs, obviously we saw the boom. All right,
yeah,
and you were there. 2017, I think that's when you did yours, back in 2017, right? Yeah. So you raised money. You did well. Right. Now, 2018 began. January, February still had a bit of that ICO boom fever. And look, I genuinely believe that in our time, we were 35-year-old men.
Yeah.
We've been in business. We've been around long enough. That was crazy, mate. That was totally goddamn crazy. Now, we're old enough to have researched the .com boom, but we're probably not old enough to have been a part of it. And I'll admit that I wasn't, but I've researched the shit out of that thing, right? And what we saw during that ICO boom was akin to .com times 10. It was absolute madness. Raising capital. You basically come out of university, or you're in university, or you're a school kid. You've got to do a presentation, which is your website. You got to do a video, which is the pitch. You got to do a white paper, which is the English section, and you got to do the math, which is the tokenomics. And there were so many errors and issues throughout all of that. Yet you could still raise $10 to $30 million. Now, of course, we've seen rubber hit the road through 2018. We have seen the fact that treasury management, even though certain companies had a CFO in inverted commas for those that aren't watching, but we've learned that just because you have an idea doesn't mean you've got something that can hit the ground running. During that period of time which you raised within, what have been the biggest lessons that your company and yourself, and you think that the greater community has learnt throughout that period of time? Because it was absolute goddamn bedlam.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a wild ride. It was really, you said it exactly right. That you had the 4 things. That was what the 4 pillars to make that secret sauce. And hopefully reach your hard cap. Though there's one thing that people don't realize is that only 50% only 65%, it's only 35% of ICOs raise more than 100,000 K. So there's a big survivorship base, so we don't realize that there's not so many ICOs that were successful, but there's a lot of, for sure, ICOs that raise a shit lot of money, and they had just like a lousy offer. I think so. From our perspective, the number one, let's say, most important factor, we finished on January 7th. Okay, so that was when market was probably like, it was at 848 billion, I think so, something like that. We were at the top,
Peak, right?
Right, the day after, shit hit the fan, like we say, and the most important was treasury management. Even if we reached our hard cap, we were at 50 million hard cap, but we raised when Ripple's at 375. We raised when Bitcoin was at 17,000 or more. We raised when Ether was at 1,300. We raised when, Litecoin, I don't know how much Litecoin was back then, but that's what we raised mainly. We did raise fiat, but a very small amount. And I'm not saying that when you reach your ICO, you should convert everything into fiat, because that's in some ways it's quite unfair. But the idea is that you still have to do active treasury management. And the lucky side from our perspective is that we didn't live to 2001. I mean, we knew what happened, but we didn't trade the markets back then because I'm the same age as yourself. But we knew that in every bubble, there's a certain time. I didn't picture it was going to be there. We thought we still had some room to improvement. But essentially, we've been hedging the markets that we paid very expensively, these hedges, but it still was much more than worth it. And today we're still at a comfortable position where today we still have 3 years of at this constant burn rate, which is fine. So, we're fair more than enough. We still have roughly like 17 million and a half. With yesterday's great boom going to 5,000, maybe we have a little bit more than 17 and a half. I don't know. So, we are comfortable. But there's a lot of ICOs that unfortunately today, and I know personally some of them that raise 20, 30 million, they have nothing left. They literally left the market and went bankrupt.
You said the word unfortunate. It's not unfortunate, mate.
Right.
It's not unfortunate. I'm sick of hearing that. I'm not shooting you down. I'm sick of hearing companies say, "Oh, it's unfortunate the price of ETH went from 1,400 when we got you ETH now to whatever it's at." That's not unfortunate. That's life. That's just the way business goes. And I've talked to this topic. I'm going to get pretty fired up right now, right? So you just sit back and relax, brother. You're going to be with me. I get fired up, man, because I've never asked for. I mean, I've run a fund. I've run a hedge fund at 23 years old. Even at 23 years old, with my limited business experience, I still do the right thing by investors. I've not asked for a dime since. And I will invest. I will ask for investment again in future companies. I've got no problem with helping others to make money, which helps my business to scale. But one of the things that really frustrated the shit out of me was the fact that people kept turning back to, "Oh, well, they're young," or "they didn't know," or "Look, listen, you got to have goddamn company worth $1 billion on paper, or 500 million, or 100 million, or 10 million, and you raised 100, 30, 40, 50 million dollars. If you put a CFO in, if you claim to have a CFO, and that CFO does not understand how to hedge, manage treasury, and continue to make sure the longevity of the business is there, I don't give two shits about what you have to say about anything, because the bottom line is this. Let's say I ICO my business, yeah? And I say, right, okay, we need 5 million, and I get my 5 million. Now, the first thing I'm going to do as an intelligent human being and trader and business person is I'm going to go, right, okay, out of that 5 million, in the current market conditions, how much do we need to sell back to fiat to give us
Yep.
our runway to revenue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So let's say it's 3 years. Let's say I need 3 years. I got to sell $3.85 million to get to revenue. Okay, cool. Now I know I've got the runway. I now know that I've got enough money to get this business idea, because all ICOs were just ideas. That's all they were. I've got the revenue to hire, to manage the structure, to build, to do everything for the next 3.5 years to get to revenue. And I've also got 6 months on top of that, should the deadline be knocked back, because I'm smart, regardless of what the goddamn market does. And it pisses me off to no end that so many companies did not do this. And let me just take a step back on this. Young people that had no business acumen, no business experience, no business knowledge, it's not on them. They were the ones that went out and offered these opportunities.
Right.
It was on the misinformed, uneducated investors caught up in a hype cycle. And I feel for them. But the bottom line has to be, you've got to take responsibility for your actions. You've got to take responsibility for your education. You can't follow anybody on a whim. You need to learn about this goddamn space. We're here for a long time. We're going to change the world, but don't be stupid.
Yeah. I mean, what comes fast, goes fast. And unfortunately, if you don't put the hard work, it just will evaporate. So I think that's what the hard thing is where I feel is just a little bit more unfortunate is that a lot of these people were, in the crypto philosophy, you have a lot of dreamers, and in technology, you have a lot of dreamers. In business, there's few dreamers, but then there's a lot of people that, as you said, they forecast treasury, they forecast how to create products, and that's the new wave. And the good thing is that, well, now you have a lot of people that are product driven and treasury driven. And back then it was only fantasy driven. Yeah. Most of the people, and they had some technology driven as well, but they didn't have, neither they had products that were related to their milestones and doing real things. Neither there was real treasury management. And now today, well, those guys know that they learned the hard way that if you don't foresee any major black swan, well, eventually it will snap you in the finger.
Black swans exist for a goddamn reason. Every business needs to focus on risk management and longevity. And it's been a big wake-up call, man. Like it has. And, to the people that are listening and viewing this right now, they're thinking, oh, you asshole, you're telling me what I've done wrong. Listen, learn. Because I'll tell you right now, when I first started trading, I blew out 3 accounts. I had £9,000 when I was 21 years old from businesses that I had in Australia. And I blew all of that by $3,000. And let me tell you, I'm 35 years old. It was $3 to the pound. That was a lot of money. I made all that money in 2 weeks in the business that I ran, right? I got out, I ran to London. I had a good time. Yeah. Don't compare yourself to others. Step up to the plate. Learn from your mistakes. Because I'll tell you what, if you're in this industry right now, whether you've lost it all or whether you've made a fortune, you're in the right place at the right time. Do not let this lesson pass you by. So whilst we're on that, I want to know more about what Swissborg is actually doing. Talk to us.
Yeah, that's a great question. Already our mission is really to democratize wealth management. We believe that we're all wealthy. Wealthy means that you have data, and eventually that data will, be tokenized. And taking consideration, what we'll be doing, we've had referendums. So it's something that we think is very important to have within our community. So each time people vote for different actions, we then reward them. So we pay them each time. We have an ICO platform, but that we put a little bit on the side because there's not so many ICOs. And one of our last referendum, people wanted to know what will be, our investment platform, where we create on a mobile app or will we create on, desktop. And people voted for for the mobile app. So the great thing is that we created our community app. So it's mobile based, it's available on Android and iOS. And it's exactly what we're talking about is how to create wealth, and more importantly, how do you preserve it? And essentially, it's a very easy betting game where you on a daily basis, you go into your app, you want to see what is the Bitcoin doing today, and then you have to forecast it. You have to predict if it's going up or down, and you have a lot of different tools, like, as you love, like technical analysis or different indicators.
Time frames, right?
And time frames, yeah, that enables you to essentially to go up or down and to build this confidence. And we really want to educate our community to take that thing, is that it doesn't take so much time, right? Everyone spends hours just to look at what is the best new TV, but doesn't spend 5 minutes to look at, what is their portfolio doing. And we just want people, we don't want to create a really, difficult choices for some people. We just want to say, okay, look on a daily basis what your account is doing. Should I sell? Should I buy more? Should I add more risk to it? Should I deleverage the risk to it? And we want to make that in the easiest way possible. Like that, when you create these habits on the community app, tomorrow when we're actually launching our wealth app with real index crypto indices and inside of it, then people could know if it's a good thing to buy, to leverage a little bit more their portfolios. And it's just, you need these manners, I think, so to build your portfolios. Yeah.
Well, look, while I can talk to this. I've been working with a platform recently with our brand. I won't say who it is. It's your interview, but I can tell you right now, it's really fun. All right, so it's type of binary options trading. It's either above or below, given a certain time or date, and which means there's no requirement of a stop loss. In many cases, you're either right or you're wrong, and you put the money forward. So in a certain way, it's like what I lived in London for 6 years, and it's what spread betting is. But with spread betting, you had to have a stop loss based on your trade. With something like this in a binary options type scenario, and as you bring the phone app out, you can literally sit there, look at the charts, and go, in the next 10 seconds, it'll be above or below. In the next 10 minutes, 15, an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours a day, it'll be above or below. And they give you the algorithm based on what you will earn, whether you're right or wrong. But it's all risk managed. And I'll tell you today, right now, it ain't my style of trading. It just isn't. I'm not binary options have been around for a long time, and I've worked with binary options company in creating content for them.
Right.
It's just never really fit the way that I trade. I'm pretty old school, man. Like I focus on, I want certain outcomes, and I'm happy to stick with that. I started playing with this binary today, and I had 4 out of 4 because I overlay my experience with what the chart's doing, and I was doing it to learn the platform. Right? We've got a business relationship. I was doing it to learn the platform. And I shit you not, I had one losing trade at the beginning because I didn't know what I was doing. And then when I worked it out, I'm like, bang, I had 4 winning trades. Now, if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of time, but you love to have a little bit go on the market, forget the horses, forget pokey machines, forget gambling, come to the markets, equate some solid knowledge and technical analysis ability, which all you listeners and viewers, you're bloody well picking it up from me, and apply it to a platform like that. I'll tell you right now, it's a pretty powerful tool. It's a pretty powerful tool.
Yeah, I mean, technical analysis. I mean, this, we have it right here in the app. You could check it out. I think so. It's really one of the most important in crypto, because obviously, looking fundamentals, it's quite hard to perceive. I mean, you could look on different GitHubs. There's different ways to look at some fundamentals, but for sure, Bitcoin itself and most other underlyings, technical analysis is what you want to look. And I'm sure that what you're teaching is exactly what it is. You have to look at different moving averages or different other indicators that really enable you to build confidence in your strategies and get in when you should get in and get out when it's
well, that's a big thing, man. It's about getting out. It ain't about getting in. Getting in is only half the way to profit. If you get in and you don't get out, well, what did we see through 2018?
Yeah,
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will say one thing. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, Cyrus.
It is indeed.
Where can people find out more information about you and what you're doing?
So, I mean, you could go on Swissborg.com. It's the best way. You could as well find us. You could go on Swissborg.com, Swissandborg.com, and you could check us out on Android or on iOS. Our community app is available. And if not, on Twitter, obviously.
Excellent. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. And Swissborg is SWISSBORG. That is how you spell Swissborg. No, it's not a video game. No, you do not need to beat some beast before you get to trading. Yes, he's very good looking. And if you're on the podcast, I'm sorry, you can't see this. But it's been an absolute pleasure, Cyrus, having you on the show. Cyrus Fazel, CEO of Swissborg. Thank you so much for your time. And I'd love to continue the journey going forward. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic day. Good speaking. Bye for now.
The Trader Cobb Crypto Podcast is hosted by Craig Cobb. All Trader Cobb courses, products, and tools can be found at tradercobb.com because experience matters.